Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of Top Talk from Lemon Top and the BFBI. I'm Andy from Lemon Top, and this week we're joined by some great guests. We've got Ruth from the BFBI, Mike from Saxon Packaging, Michael from Avani Solutions, Darren from Polykeg, and Tom from Croxons. And first of all, I'm just going to ask everyone to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about who they are and what they do. So we'll start off with Ruth.
Okay, yeah, I'm CEO of BFBI and head up a membership which goes across the entire supply chain into brewing and beverage. And if you've got any questions on loans or the JRS scheme or the SSP rebate, anything like that, just please do ask. And also I sat in on a meeting this morning with the group that's putting the workplace guidelines together for pubs. I'm not allowed to talk detail, but I can talk sort of overview. So any questions there?
Excellent. And then Tim?
Yeah, Tim Croxon of Croxons, COO here, 5th generation of family firm. We are involved in drinks packaging, so specifically glass containers, glass bottles, glass jars, and closures to go with it. Obviously, we supply a lot into the brewing scene, but pretty much any food and drink sector we supply quite a lot into, based here in the UK, but also as far as Australia, New Zealand, and the US and Asia as well.
Excellent. And Mike?
I'm Mike. I'm the sales director at Saxon Packaging. Worked here for 23 years now. We design and manufacture all types of corrugated packaging. Up until recently, we were independent. Our owners retired at the end of November 2016, and we were taken over by the Smurfit Kappa Group. So we're now part of a global company, but we're still running as Saxon Packaging, and see ourselves as still quite an independent company, but just with new, bigger owners.
Excellent. And Darren?
Hi, I'm from Polykeg, obviously. I'm the sales manager for the UK. We're an Italian based company and opened in the UK last year to supply one-way kegs to drinks manufacturers, not just beer, but across the board, from wine, cider, soft drinks, cocktails, and that's continuing to grow. So we're really just here to promote the use of one-way kegs.
Excellent. And Mike, last but not least, Michael?
My place. So yeah, Michael from Avani Solutions, co-founder. Started our business in 2012. We are draft hygiene dispense specialists. We do service provision, so we clean beer lines and look after systems for customers all over the UK, as well as consultants to the industry, trainers, and product sales for the same. So basically anything to do with draft hygiene, we have something to do with it.
Excellent. Well, we've had quite a lot of questions in this week, mainly about sort of around the pubs, but also a few in from breweries asking about packaging and bottles. So I suppose we crack on with the questions for those, starting well with Michael. So obviously the pubs are all closed at the minute, and there's been a big impact on the solutions that pubs offer, whether it be cask or draft lines. How has that been impacted from your side?
Well, directly that our wonderful government decided that a range reduction was the first step. We saw a lot of our customers obviously get very twitchy from that point and start cancelling services. But then almost immediately that was then superseded by the announcement to shut pubs and going out to pubs and restaurants completely. So from a service perspective, we lost all of our customers pretty much within about 5 to 7 days. But temporarily lost our customers for that period of time. So it then it was about how we then survive as a business. So how do we then utilise the schemes that were available to us? Obviously, furlough was a huge boost, and will have saved us and probably very many others. But then really how we communicate with our customers, how we communicate with our team. We had worried team members, we had concerned customers. But as it's sort of progressed over that period of time, we very quickly adapted and became a support to the industry. Every now and then we might send something out on LinkedIn. Every now and then, but you know, we try. You know, we have certainly tried to take the role of a support act to whether it's, you know, BBPA, BFBI, the industry, the brewers, really on how to support their brands within their customers and how to maintain things. We have a bit of a fortunate position in that we've always looked after Haven holiday parks through Bourne Leisure. So we've got a very clear understanding of how to close businesses down for an extended period of time. So that's really helped us to be able to support the industry in this period of closure and offer some advice.
So I don't know, the minute they're talking about sort of possible dates for the pubs and bars and everything back open. So what sort of problems do you envisage them encountering sort of when they do start looking at reopening?
Well, from a beer quality perspective, disasters, people that haven't taken the advice on. I think that the brewery advice and the pub advice was so mixed in terms of what they do and how they close their systems down. And without going into lots and lots of detail on individual cases, there was advice on leaving lines in water, leaving lines in beer, leaving lines sanitized, cleaning them first, sanitizing them. But you know, a lot of these processes were things that pubs didn't have experience in. And you've got the government saying, right, shut up and go home. You've got other people saying, right, stay there and do the due diligence and close things down properly. So, you know, I think they were caught a little bit between what they should do and what they needed to do. But yeah, we're certainly expecting from the brewers' conversations that we're having, everyone is frightened about what they're going to find and, you know, how much of their tech service teams need to be utilised in rescuing systems and how to rescue systems. You know, this isn't about a pub doing a standard line clean when they come back in a couple of weeks' time. You know, there is a process that is going to need to be followed, and clearly, you know, Ruth and her team and a few others will be putting out some, you know, pretty strong instructions on how to achieve that.
Excellent. So, what would be your advice for the sort of pubs and bars if they do have problems with things like tainted lines or line cleaning procedures? What have you got any advice there? Can you point them in the right direction for where they can pick up any of that advice? Yeah,
it won't surprise you to know that we'll be launching something over the coming days, which is we've put a few teasers out on LinkedIn already, which is the Ready, Get, Set, Let's Go. And that principle is the getting ready is principally what they've got to do. You know, how have they got to prepare their systems? What have they got to look for? Make sure everything is working, and that gives us a good period of between 2 and 10 weeks worth of process they can follow, and that includes some chemicals, some process. We'll even pop an Avani technician in their cellar and bar for them via some kind of online call, so they can have someone with them to go through the process and understand how it works. And then we'll follow that up with the Get Set, which is then the final checks just to make sure the systems work, that everything, you know, when you turn it on, it starts up and operates as you expect it to. But also that period of time gives you the opportunity to then phone technical services if you need that support. And then the Let's Go as a partnership approach is literally, you know, getting them open, serving beer, making sure they understand what that great beer looks like, understanding what a taint is. You know, we know a taint when it happens, but they'll be so desperate to get open and start serving beer they might not see it. So just a few little checks just to make sure that they understand what they're serving is great quality, and they open to succeed. I think all of our desire to get in a pub and drink a great pint of beer is you can see it everywhere and you hear it everywhere. What we don't want to do is walk into a bar with the same cracked toilet seat, the same paint flaking off the walls, the same mess everywhere, and a bad experience. So we've got the opportunity here to get some of that right with a bit of planning.
Yeah, definitely. So on the subject of the pubs and workplaces opening, we've had a question in for Ruth about when will the workplace guidelines for pubs and restaurants be coming out? Any ideas on that one, Ruth?
Yeah, I was in a meeting today to talk about that. The first draft for review is going to come out at the end of this week, with a view to the guidelines being published in the next couple of weeks. Government's keen to get them out as soon as possible, and so that they're ready for when they announce the restart of pubs. And again, the discussion this morning was whether they will be opening pubs with gardens before they open pubs. A lot of the operators there feel that there's not a lot of benefit opening pubs with gardens before they open pubs, because people still have to go into the pub to buy their drinks, etc., use the toilets. But there's a great deal of discussion today on the impact of social distancing, the impact of 2 metre social distancing as opposed to 1.5 metre or 1 metre, and can government take a flexible approach and look at maybe 1.5 metre, so that's up for discussion. The issues of atmosphere, the atmosphere of a pub is very difficult to maintain if you're socially distanced. If you've got to run a pub like a restaurant, i.e. you've got to book people in. Vertical drinking was discussed a lot today about the challenges of vertical drinking. Will vertical drinking happen whilst social distancing takes place, or will people have to book a table and sit at booths or tables? Those sorts of issues. But you can rest assured that certainly pub operators and regional brewers owning their pubs, etc., are looking very hard at ensuring an atmospheric experience that you'd expect with a pub, but in a safe environment.
Yeah, it seems a lot of pubs, especially on social media and things, are trying out new ways of layouts and different screenings and that sort of thing. So it does seem that people are experimenting and trying to fit in with any proposed guidelines as soon as possible, really, I guess.
But I mean, the government's working at the moment still to the 4th of July. Maybe earlier for pubs with gardens. It's not being decided, it's just being discussed at the moment.
So yeah, obviously once these pubs are back up and running, there's going to be, the brewers are going to have to start supplying beer to them and get the beer out as quick as possible, and also in the best condition. So we've had a few questions in for Darren about people who've never kegged a beer before, and again, looking at Polykeg, what are the advantages of using Polykeg? Have you got any advice so people can get ready for kegging their beer to get it into pubs if they do open on the 4th of July?
Yeah, sure. Basically, Polykeg's whole policy is to make it easy to fill. So if they have filled any keg in the past, it'll work exactly the same way with whichever connector they use. Our kegs come with all the adapters, including a popular 1K, which is another brand. So I believe we're the only company to offer 6 valve fittings. So whether it's for the UK market or they're exporting and need a valve to suit another country, then we can supply that keg and valve. At the minute in the UK, the 20 and 30 litre is most popular. But we're actually have had inquiries during the lockdown for smaller kegs. And I think some of the breweries are looking to sell small kegs into the home market, which is something we didn't really do. Our smallest keg currently is 12. The only advantage of a Polykeg compared to some of the other mini kegs that are about, with the inner bag system, the beer isn't touched by the outside air. The bag's squeezed as they add gas to the keg. It squeezes the bag. So the shelf life is 6 to 9 months. Now, obviously, nobody's seen this situation coming, but if a lot of breweries used Polykegs with bag and keg, the stock would have lasted for 6 to 9 months. which obviously would have got through this period. But hopefully we never face this situation again. But it's something from our point of view, it would be great to see brewers consider more use of one-way kegs.
And obviously, again, brewers are, someone's just asked there, brewers are looking at kegging the beers sort of sharpish. What sort of turnaround are we looking at if people are trying to get hold of kegging, equipment, things like that?
Yeah, very, very quickly. We hold stock in the UK of 20 litres and 30 litres, which are the most popular, with Sankey fittings and K fitting. Normal delivery at the moment, 48 hours to more or less anywhere in the UK, unless you're out in the sticks like top of Scotland. It can take 3 or 4 days. But yeah, we have a quick turnaround, and even in some cases, we can arrange next day delivery for a small surcharge. If people want to try other sizes, then we will either bring it into stock from Italy, or we will send it direct from our factory from Italy direct to the brewery. Right. So very, very fast turnaround.
So we can get people up and running pretty quickly then.
Yeah, yes.
Get beers back into the pubs for Michael to help to spread.
Well, yeah, I've seen a lot on LinkedIn and other social media that there are pubs serving beer in plastic tumblers through windows. So there is some movement. Yeah, I know they're saying it's possibly July, but I think things may move a bit quicker. Or should I say, fingers crossed, things move a bit quicker. Because, I mean, obviously I spoke to you and Ruth at BRX, and we were also Brew London. Really busy exhibitions. Everybody looking forward to a fantastic spring. Loads of inquiries. Everybody was fired up to go and sell. And then, bang, it stopped. So unfortunately for us, we only sell kegs. So I'm glad to see most of our customers have stayed open and managed to replace some of their business with online sales, cans, bottles, and a little mini keg. But as far as bulk kegs like ours, complete standstill. However, we've just had one big order from quite a big brewer in the UK for delivery on the 1st of June. So whether they're preempting UK opening sooner, or they're just going to brew and fill the kegs knowing they've got a 6 month to 9 month lifespan. So, but it's a good sign.
Yeah.
One of the concerns that was spoken about, in fact, was from Budweiser, was that they have seen across the world pubs reopening, but then shutting down again.
Oh dear.
And so as a brand owner, there is a concern that if you supply into the pubs and then the pubs have to shut back down again, they're back in the same position they were in March with having to get their stock back.
Yeah. Though if they put it in a poly keg with a bag, they can leave the stock there for months.
Well, like you mentioned there, though, there has been a massive uplift on online sales. So things like canned beer and bottled beer, I know the shops that we manage for breweries have all had a huge uplift, which is really good to see. Which leads us nicely on to Mike and Tim, really. Well, I'll start with Tim because it needs to go in bottles and cans before it can go into Mike's boxes. Otherwise, it's a bit wet. So for you, Tim, how's this been? Have you found a big uplift in people inquiring about bottles and people who possibly weren't bottling before have now started to try and shift the beer that way?
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen existing customers grow, which is great. And we supply into a lot of contract fillers. Obviously, they are dependent on people wanting them to bottle their beer. And they're all doing quite healthy numbers. But yeah, a lot of new brewers kind of going, we're looking at bottling, which, to be honest, historically, probably the last 12 to 18 months, there has been a push towards cans. So there's been less new inquiries come in from a glass perspective. But it seems over the last, 10 weeks now, wherever we're in, that there's an appetite for glass as well, which is great. And yeah, outside of beer, it is dismal, to be fair. Obviously, global travel retail is dead. And you've got the on-trade, we do a lot of water business, and spirits, all of which are very depressed right now. So the beer is the one, what's the phrase? Shining example that it is actually working right now and it's growing. So we're not complaining, put it that way.
Yeah.
But certainly, yeah, new entrants and new people asking, which is always great to see.
Excellent. So so with regards to sort of customers and that, then, so do you get a mixture of people wanting bespoke glass as well as the standard glass? Are there any restrictions to who can and can't have a bespoke bottle, things like that?
It's a very common question we get asked, actually, and beer is generally, in terms of marketplace, it's price competitive, isn't it? And your raw materials are an important part of that. And we've seen historically lots of brewers going, I want a bespoke bottle, I want this, I want that. But as soon as the commercials become a reality, they kind of opt for something that's a bit more readily available. And the UK manufacturing is set up for large volume pretty much across the board. So in terms of our three main beer bottles, we're doing in the millions of each, and therefore every brewer gets the benefit of very large scale manufacturing. So the price is half what it would be if you look at something bespoke, and a lot of brewers can't justify that uplift in cost, sadly, because you can do a bespoke beer bottle for 200,000 units, which actually isn't that much for some brewers in this country, but there is an increase in cost, and that's just the reality of it. If you're talking in the millions, then it's readily available, but there just aren't that many brands that can justify that kind of volume here in the UK.
So then, so as a small brewer, or as a brewer in general, I guess, if they were looking to bottle for the first time, what sort of timescales, minimum orders, things like that, are they looking at? I mean, what advice have you got on that side of things for them?
So in terms of timeline, actually getting bottles a bit like with polykegs, actually it's not difficult. 48, 72 hours. It's quite simple to arrange. The challenge is the discussion before that in terms of how it's being filled, what bottling lines being used, and it has to be. If you're looking at putting bottling equipment in, the bottle has to be the same discussion. Otherwise, you get the urgency that comes in that never helps anyone. Of oh rubbish, I've forgotten what bottle I'm speccing, or I haven't checked its continuity of supply is often quite a key factor to build in. So we get that. The earlier the better. If you're talking about machinery, talk about bottles at the same time. Particularly if you're looking at bespoke, that's always 3, 4, 5 months kind of project to go from design to delivery. So that's if you're looking at that end, build even more time in. But if you're looking off the shelf, the minimum is a pallet of bottles, which can be 1 to 2,000. So it's quite a small amount.
Yeah.
But the issue probably more is the bottling side of it that brewers sometimes struggle with for consistency of quality, etc. Yeah. And that's why there's been a huge growth in contract packers, because they are specialists at bottling beer.
And with regards to closures and things like that, then, so what about the crown caps, things like that? Do you advise? Do you supply those? Can you do spoke one, things like that as well? So, yeah, in terms of printed or bespoke, a brewer, 50,000 is the minimum, which is really, really low. And that's about a 2 minutes production line, just to give you an idea. So it's 2 minutes later, 50,000 is made. So it's through our relationship with our manufacturers that they support the UK industry that way, because normally minimum would be a pallet, which is up 300,000 to 400,000 units, which for a lot of brewers simply isn't achievable. So that 50,000 really gives brewers an opportunity to create a bit of standout on their small pack, which is helpful. The other thing we've done is for brewing members who are part of CEBA, we've produced their assured CEBA crown as well, which is proved really popular, which is great. So that gives every brewer the opportunity to get a printed crown. Maybe it's the CEBA assured kind of branding as such, but it's about communication, isn't it? Communication about quality, communication about local and being independent, which is really important. Yeah. We're putting that Zebra Assured logo on more and more sort of can designs, label designs, things like that at the minute. So knowing that there's a crown out there for people for the bottles, that's good, because again, it's often the first bit people see at the bottle as well. So that's good to know, definitely.
And we've priced it really similar to for plain crowns. So if you only need a couple of boxes, 6 to 12, 20,000, there's actually not much price different going for a plain crown than having the Zebra Assured logo, which I think is a really strong message.
Yeah.
It is about supporting the independent brewers of this country that do such a great job. So.
Definitely. I'm sure there'll be some people watching who maybe weren't aware of them that they'll be looking at, because I can see a couple of names on the attendees list now who I know are using it on their labels. So hopefully they'll have a look at those for the bottle tops.
Tim, can I ask a question, Tim?
Of course.
Is there a bottle size that's easier to get and one that's harder to get? In other words, should you be pointing people to a certain bottle size if they want to get hold of them quickly?
So generally 330 and 500 ml are the normal sizes, and they are always available. So if someone actually picked up the phone and spoke to us today and said, I'm after 10 pallets of 330 ml beer in amber, so in brown glass, that's really not an issue. 275 is a bit more unusual. That's not really seen in craft beer. And look, it's always interesting a pint bottle for obvious reasons, but again, there's not a great supply chain for that right now. So that can be quite problematic. But 500 ml, 330, off the shelf, really easy.
Okay. And then, well, again, the packaging side of things then moves us nicely on to Mike. People have obviously had the beers packaged into cans, bottles, and selling them online to their sort of network. Is there one box that'll suit both cans and bottles, or all different sizes of cans and bottles? Is that something you guys can help the brewers out there selling a mixture of both in getting them to their customers?
Yeah, it's a good question, Andy. We've had, we've been very fortunate in that we've had an exceptionally busy time. I've been working here now for 10, 11 weeks, being part of Smurfit Kappa. They had sites in Italy, so they suffered actually quicker than ourselves. So we put a lot of things in place, probably even before the government was suggesting we should be doing things. So we've got about a team of 70 people working at our site in Lowestoft, working very safely. And we were, we have been extremely busy. So we had a record April for us. We deal with a real diverse mix of customers, so it's not just food and drink customers. And they've all been, pretty busy really. So our top 20, 30 have been extremely busy. But one of the biggest questions people are trying to get small pack to their customers, whether it's via online sales, e-commerce, or through retail. People do have a mixture of packs. They might be selling bottles, cans, 330 ml cans, 440 ml cans, and then different size bottles. So they're saying, can we have one box that will suit all solutions? And you can. I think it's down to individual breweries. Some people like one box to suit each product, so everything looks really, really nice. Where some will just say, look, I just need one box, whether it's 12, 24s, and I need it to cover a range of different sizes, especially for the bottle shops, these sorts of guys. So what we do, we'll come up with a pack, generally with dividers inside to protect the product, but we always have to work to the largest size product. What that means is that some of the smaller products can rattle around a little bit inside, but dividers are pretty good to protect the bottles. And as Tim said, bottles, more and more people are thinking, well, can we put our product back into bottles to save it going to waste? So some of the brewery customers we've dealt with might have been into keg or to cask. They've looked to put things into bottles. So we've had a real mixture. And say, I follow quite a few of the breweries on Twitter, and I think some people just want to get their product out, and they'll get any box and think, right, as long as I can get it packed, wrapped up, and sell some beer, sell some product, that's the way they'll do it. Where others will spend quite a lot on having a bespoke pack made. But you can have one box will suit all, but some of them will put extra filling in the top. It might be a little bit more time consuming if you're not having bespoke made boxes, but certainly you can have that done. Yeah.
Excellent. I mean, I know we've designed quite a lot of different boxes for breweries, so everything from sort of single colour all the way through to nice jazzy full colour stuff.
Yep.
Is that a service again you guys offer with regards to sort of the branding, the coloured print, that side of things on the boxes?
Yeah, we have three main print processes. We have flexo printing, which is quite a basic form of printing. I've got a few examples with me. So just to give an idea, hopefully people can see this. This is just a one colour flexo printed box. This is just a regular can box, so that's one colour. So flexo printing is a more basic form of printing, but still, it does a good job for people. You can have your logo printed, and we can go up to 3 colours. So again, this is a flexo printed box, if you can see that okay. So we've got red, black and white printed onto a brown box there. We can also offer digital printing. So digital printing is a 4-colour process and more intricate designs. The nice thing about digital printing, there's no printing plate cost, so suited for lower quantities. With flexo printing, you do have some setup costs involved, but both flexo and digital printing, you can have quite low quantities. We also offer litho printed packaging. So litho is real high end. So for retail packaging, you can see photographic images you can have there. And an idea there. So this is a retail pack here. So this is an 8-can pack, just pops together, cans go inside, but really high quality. So yeah, from flexo being quite a basic form of printing, good for getting your company name out in the marketplace, through to litho, which is the higher quality. So we're offering a complete range of packaging solutions. And we quite often get asked, really, do you supply gift packs? And people don't think that we'll do the more basic form of packaging. So yeah, real full range of packaging solutions, Andy.
Excellent. Well, everyone else had the same question. So what about turnaround times and quantities then?
Yeah, litho printed packaging is a longer process. So typically 3 to 4 weeks from receipt of everything being signed off. So there's quite a process, a bit like with Tim, there's quite a build up to get into that order stage. So we'll supply samples to our customers. So we carry a range of standard cutters. So if somebody came on to us and said, I need a 3 by 330 ml bottle gift pack, chances are we would have a cutter for that already, so the customer wouldn't have to pay for the cutter. We would send them a sample of the box for them to check and sign off. If they want it printed, we'd then send them the cutter guide for them to put their artwork onto. And then once we've got their artwork back, we'll do our bit that we have to do internally, excuse me, and then we'll send a proof back to them to sign off. And then once everything's signed off, yeah, typically 7 to 10 working days for flexo printed. Digital is about sort of 10 to 12 working days, and then litho, which is the higher quality, that's about, say, 3 to 4 weeks. But it does flex depending on our own workload, and say we've been extremely busy. Dividers has been the big thing. We deal with quite a few subscription companies, so dividers is a big thing at the moment. So our lead time's a little bit extended on dividers, but we're fortunate we have other people. We are being, say, part of a large group, so we can call on some of our other sites if we get overloaded, and we'll try and pull things in where we can. But we always say to our customers, if you're in a muddle and you need something quickly, just shout and we'll see what we can do. We do have a very flexible manufacturing approach. Most of the things are made on our site, so we can pull things around. We're running 2 shifts during the day, and the guys have been working weekends as well to catch up and just pull our lead time in. Because we're aware at the moment people do need things quicker than maybe we've been offering. So we've certainly turned some jobs around quickly and got a few people out of a muddle of late.
Excellent. So once people have got the boxes, then do they need specialist equipment to then pack the boxes and assemble them, things like that, or can it be done by hand?
Yeah, I mean, it's more for the retail packs. So the example I showed you earlier, this is a 4 by 330 ml can pack. Typically these would come flat packed. They come flat packed like so, and you can see where you've got some white spots here. You can see those. That's where the glue is sprayed. So typically these would be filled by machine, so they're canned automatically and then filled and packed by machine. Some people are gluing these by hand, but it's a bit more time consuming. So we do offer some other solutions where you can hand pack things. And we know a few contract packers, and we've put various people in touch. So if they don't have the manufacturing, the filling equipment or the packing equipment themselves. So yeah, we offer, again, solutions that can be hand packed. If you've got a machine, we can offer solutions for machine packed as well.
Great. So lots of options for people then.
Yeah, basically, yeah, we cover most bases.
Excellent. Let's look at these questions. We've had a question in for Ruth about grants again. That someone's not eligible for any of the the grants that they've seen available so far. Is there anything else they can get access to? Any other help?
There is one that the government has set up called the Discretionary Grant Fund. It's a top-up grant, and it's delivered by your local authority. Now, the issue is that the local authorities, it's for them to decide, discretionary, whether they're going to give the grant or not. And what a lot of authorities are doing is they're giving that discretionary top-up fund, which is 617 million the government has given out to local authorities. They're using it to give to companies that were too late to apply for the small business rate relief. So you have to really bang the drum and get a knock on their door. So if you're not eligible for anything else, try the Discretionary Grant Fund. And if you want any details, if that person just emails me, I'll send you all the links, where to go, etc.
What I'll do as well, I'll send everybody's email addresses, contact details around at the to all the attendees at the end of this, so they can get in touch as well. Oh, we've got another question come in. This time for Michael again. Back to Michael. If the pubs do open and then have to close down, have you got anything in place that can help them sort of gear up for that, just in case the worst does happen and they shut down quickly again?
Yeah, repeat. So yeah, we go back around the loop. We follow the instructions from closing down. So if people have done the right thing and cleaned their systems, rinsed through, brought the beer through, served for a couple of weeks, if we have some feeling of what that period of time is going to be from the next closure to the potential next opening, the advice might be slightly different, but same rules apply in almost every situation. There's only two things that you leave in a beer line: either dry, so you blow anything out, or you leave it in beer with the coolers and cooling left on. So yeah, so if we have to go through another close down period, clean the lines, blow the lines, and then we sit and wait again until next time.
Yeah, there is industry guidance. There's industry shutdown guidance and restart guidance, which Michael's contributed to, and a number of other BFBI dispense sector members have contributed to. So again, if they want those documents, just contact me.
Good. And then one last question in for Tim. Have you got any sort of bottles or packaging that people can use for hand sanitizer? I know a lot of people have switched over to that. We've had a lot of clients switch over to making hand sanitizer recently. Have you got any sort of packaging solutions there that people might be able to make the most of, that they can get pretty rapidly, I'm assuming?
In be no surprise, but to hear that in the last 10 weeks, that is probably the #1 item we've had requests for. So we've supplied, loads of different solutions. Some clients are very brand specific. So we've ended up supplying some cobalt blue, kind of bright blue bottles to people who wanted that to suit their brand, and others just don't care. They're taking whatever we can get. So yes, there are options. It depends on the client specifics in terms of capacity. The main issue we've seen really is around the actual pump, the pump to actually dispense it. There's been challenges around that, but we have some stock sitting on the ground, I believe. So that is available. assuming that it fits the bottle that's needed, etc. So yes, in short, it is available.
Good to hear. 'Cause I know, yes, we've had a few people struggling to get the right bottles, or like you say, the right pumps as well. I think
Yeah.
there's a massive demand, and yeah, lots of different options. I think that seems to be all the questions we've had. Unless anybody who's watching's got any last minute questions they'd like to ask the panel, and if not, we'll call it a day there, and hopefully see you all again next time. Like I said, we'll send everyone's contact details around, so if you've got any questions, you can contact them directly, and we'll hopefully see you next time.
Sounds good.
Cheers.
Brilliant. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Right, cheers, Andy.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Stay safe, everybody. Thanks.